Welcome to Channel Remake, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now it's an exciting week and also very extremely, shall I say, busy for the migration industry and for me as well. But that doesn't stop me updating you all the visa and the skill migration criteria. So obviously today, this video, we're talking about New South Wales. So it's already open for the new financial year 2022 and 23, and everybody is excited in regards to the increase of annual migration intake that basically serves all the open of the state nomination criteria. We have seen previously on the Victoria side. Now today we're going to talk about the New South Wales. It doesn't seem as favorable in compared to Victoria. Personally, I think Victoria has taken a very bold step by basically destroying all the criteria and move everything down to the very minimum. Now let's check out New South Wales. It's not as easy as Victoria, but anyway, some people may love to go to Sydney, Newcastle, and Wollongong, and somewhere in New South Wales. You may enjoy that. But anyway, let's have a look. So, all right. Finally, we've been waiting for since July until today is the mid August. Anyway, it's good for everybody as long as it's open, and it's open for onshore and offshore as well. Now, so first one we gotta look at the subclass 190. Well, luckily, the information and the content of the pathway, stuff like that, is not as complicated as what the Tasmanian government had done. They had just too many pathways, really confusing people. Having streamlined it, it's actually very good. Following Victoria was pretty good because it basically go back to the origin. But New South Wales, let's have a read. Okay. New South Wales uses a selection-based invitation process to ensure New South Wales nominees are aligned with the skill needs and state economy. You cannot directly apply for New South Wales nomination. Well, pretty sure because you got to go through EOI, expression of interest. I think there's going to be ROI to be done, but we got to go through that together. Invitation round occurs ongoing throughout the financial year. They won't tell you when, but they will continuously do that. So the basic eligibility, it's pretty easy. You meet the minimum visa requirements. So under age of 45, competent English, and what else? Skill assessment. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now, bear in mind, at this point in time, the list of occupations required or the state of New South Wales wanted has not really been published yet, but the criteria is now here that we can see. So what we're going to do once the occupation list is out, we probably do an update, or you can wait until it's out and then we can check it out. So I've clicked at it. It still says the information will be made available shortly, so it's not out yet, but let's check out the actual contents and requirement. Oops. Okay, so within the ANZ code and on the New South Wales skill nominated list and eligible for nominated for 190. So I assume, I think it will go back to the previous format where there's a search engine. You can search for whatever the occupation that's in, and at the side of the comments it will say it's available for 190 or not, or 491 or any other criteria attached to that occupation. So that will be the direction. So my video will serve a direction for someone like you who are interested to migrate to New South Wales. Now, this is new. Now, residency and the work experience point score, this is new. Now, basically, this will actually make it not as favorable as the Victorian government. But anyway, we still need to go through it. So you must be either currently residing New South Wales or offshore. So what does that mean? So you cannot be in Queensland, you cannot be in Victoria, okay? And have continuously done a minimum period of 6 months. So either you're gonna be offshore for 6 months, or you're gonna be in New South Wales for 6 months. So can you do it if you have been in let's say Queensland for 6 months. No. What about if you're being in Queensland for 2 months and New South Wales for 4 months? Well, bad luck. You just continue to need to stay in New South Wales for further 2 months. That's basically what they're asking for. Work experience is a point score. Now, you must meet the minimum skill work experience and point score for your unit group. Now, what does that mean? That basically means you need to pass your skill assessment, and once you pass the skill assessment, you need to at least score 5 points in the EOI system. So let's take an example is, for example, a chef and cook. You need to pass the TRA skill assessment, full skill assessment, and upon the date, the full skill assessment counting towards another 12 months if you're working in Australia for that extra 5 points. If you're working outside of Australia, another 3 years in order to actually meet that 5-point requirement. So that's basically what it's. What about accountants and IT people? So IT people and accountant, again, you need to get a full skill assessment and then additional 1 year working as accountant or IT specialist or profession in Australia, or 3 years offshore, so that you get that actually 5 points. So that's basically what this is meant. So this is new. So if you want to be in New South Wales, you need to get that done. If you don't have any work experiences, bad luck, you cannot even meet the requirement. Important information for nomination criteria. Meeting the minimum nomination outline above in no way guarantee. So again, it's invitation based, so there's no guarantee. You need to show the strongest and best of your side. And obviously in the invitation based system, in Australia's immigration system, they pick the best at one. They prioritize the best. The higher the point that you have, they pick them. Okay. Now, key steps. You need to pass the criteria, confirm that New South Wales basic criteria, and then you put an EOI in and make sure the information is accurate, and then be invited, apply during invitation round. So now the key here is there is no ROI. There is no ROI for New South Wales as long as you put EOI in the system. And obviously then the New South Wales system will pick those up as long as the points meet the priority that they require. Okay, so that's a common reason applications decline. I'm not going to go through this as basically you don't meet the requirements, so you can have a read about this. So do not provide false document, because if you get found provided with a false document, you're gone. You're never going to be able to migrate to Australia. Perhaps opportunity in New Zealand, Canada, and US is all gone as well. So make sure you get a professional advisor or agent. I found too many people that want to do themselves and they understood law differently and then got them into trouble. So anyway, you pay what you get. If you don't pay it, you want DIY, that's fine, but you got to be very, very careful. Okay, now, next one is the subclass 491. There's a lot more pathways in 491, so 190 is pretty straightforward. Now, 491, currently application is closed because there is no occupation list available. RDA is actually the regional center for New South Wales. New South Wales does have 14 different regions, and they will be open. And if you're in regional New South Wales, you need to go through them. We'll begin accepting application under Path 1, and invitation round Path 2 will come shortly. So let's wait and see. That's the part I don't really like about New South Wales, because they chunk the whole state into 14 different regions, and every region has their own criteria or occupation list. That's the thing I don't really like about it, because you don't know where you're aiming at. Okay, so but anyway, if you want to play with New South Wales, that's the gameplay. Okay, now you need to meet the visa requirement as previous we have talked about in 190. Need to be at the occupation list and eligible for 491. We're pretty sure that it will. Again, they have added the residency requirements, so you got to be either residing in New South Wales in those designated regional area or offshore. So can you be in Victoria or South Australia? No, you got to be in New South Wales, or you're out. You're out of the country. And done so for a minimum of 3 months. So 190 requires 6 months, and then the 491 require 3 months. Work experience is the same. You need to meet the minimum skill work experience and then point score for your unit group. So that's exactly the same as 190. So again, if you wanted to migrate to New South Wales, once you graduated, that's fine. You meet the minimum requirement for immigration. You probably meet the requirement for Victoria. but not for New South Wales. You need to pass your skill assessment, and then you got to get that extra work experience 5 points. If you don't have that, you're not gonna be making it. Anyway, we're gonna wait for the occupation list to be out, so it should be out soon. Nomination pathway, so it's the same. So you check your eligibility and you do your EOI, and then the additional point here, you need to go to the RDA office in the region. So there are 14 different RDA in the whole New South Wales. So they treat the whole New South Wales like another country. Then you gotta go in there and find out which one you're in, and you gotta make sure that you have been live and work in there for in that region for the next 3 years. So that's pathway 1. That's go through RDA office. Now pathway 2, let's see if they get any incentive here. Oh, by the way, there's an exemption. So you are exempt from minimum work experience required for pathway 1 if you have completed your study in regional New South Wales for at least most recent 24 months and apply for RDA. So it's gotta be hard. I think the only place will be Newcastle will be pretty easy. Other places, if you're looking into TAFE New South Wales, and what about the place nearby Gold Coast? That's the border of Queensland and New South Wales, in the Southern Cross University. Probably that will be the way to go. And if you study there, you don't need to worry about the work experience, which is that part there, okay, for pathway 1. Now pathway 2 to be invited by Investment New South Wales. So what's the difference between the first one and the second one? Let's have a look. Ensure you meet the eligibility. You put your EOI in and you tick 491 in New South Wales only. Being invited to apply during an invitation round, New South Wales will not issue an invitation to apply to any reason outside the normal functional invitation round. Do not contact us. All right, so apply investment within New South Wales within 14 days. So what do we need to do? Important information about invitation ongoing throughout the year. There is not actually much to be said in here. So what sort of investment do you need to do? Is it gonna be like the SBO that we currently have seen? Oh, here we go. That's all the RDA offices. They're not currently ready yet. But would this be similar to SBO? Don't have much of information yet, but once the occupation list is out, it should be pointing out the differences between pathway 1 and pathway 2. So pathway 1 probably is just got to be working and residing in those definitely regional area, and pathway 2 will be, I'm not too sure if you're committed to invest into somewhat a small business or whatever, because it's gonna go through Investment New South Wales. So it has to be some sort of contribution into New South Wales by way of business or investment. Anyhow, should you have more question query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Bye.